In hopes of finding her independence, a girl runs away from home but falls into a dangerous trap after blindly falling in love with the man she's just met. One morning, Chloé comes home late after hanging out with her friends, upsetting her mother. Immediately, her mother confronts her for lousy behavior, but she reasons they just watched a movie. Her mother asks her what they watched yesterday, but Chloé responds that she doesn't know. In disbelief, her mother's voice rises, so Chloé eventually tells her that the movie's about a girl who runs away from home and travels around France on foot. She adds that the girl's journey caused her to become insane. Despite the protagonist's fate, Chloé thinks she's lucky because she's free. Due to her words, her mother gives her a pointed look, which doesn't escape Chloé's sight. Therefore, she confronts her mother for staring at her, leading the woman to quickly back down. Chloé feels triumphant after making her relent, so she proceeds to bring up their distant relationship. This leads them into an argument, wherein her mother makes her feel indebted for being their provider. Chloé challenges her by asking if she wants her to beg, but her mother scolds her for stealing money from her. Later that night, Chloé runs away from home, fed up with her situation. Inside the train, she writes a letter to her mother, informing her about her desire to live a new life. Shortly after, Chloé arrives at her destination and she strolls around the area, finding a way to get by for the night. While she scans her surroundings, she notices a purse lying on the bench, so she grabs it and checks what's inside. Upon rummaging, she finds money, a matchbox, and the owner's identification card. It turns out the owner is a woman named Katya, and Chloé immediately tries to find her. Thankfully, the matchbox's logo helps her locate the club where Katya works, so she quickly enters the establishment. Chloé sees Katya dancing gracefully to a melody. Instead of approaching her, Chloé simply watches over the woman and can't help but smile as Katya enjoys her moment. Once she finishes dancing, Katya is surprised by her sudden visitor, but Chloé quickly explains the purpose of her visit. Katya is relieved to see her purse, believing she'll never see it. After telling her how she found it, Chloé returns the purse and informs her that she didn't touch anything inside. Katya commends her honesty, but she jokes that she'd steal the money if she were her. Moving on from the topic, Katya asks Chloé's name and offers her a warm cup of cocoa. Due to her hunger, the girl doesn't hold and quickly consumes her meal. Then, Chloé asks Katya if she's a professional dancer as she finds her skilled. Katya feels flattered but clarifies that she's just dancing for pleasure. However, she admits that she would love to perform on stage but never got the chance. Not wanting to dwell on the topic, Katya feels bad that Chloé has to waste her day just to deliver her lost purse. Chloé assures her it's alright since she has nothing else to do. Eventually, she admits that she ran away from home, leading Katya to sadly inform her she can't let her stay in the club. Chloé quickly gets up, afraid she'll overstay her welcome. Upon seeing this, Katya stops her, telling her not to hurry and finish her food first. Then she offers Chloé some money, but the girl refuses to accept and instead, she begs Katya to let her work for her. Despite this, the woman refuses as she's still a teen and insists Chloé take the money. Left with no choice, Chloé accepts the money and proceeds to leave. One night, Chloé comes across a man who introduces himself as Jean-Michel. Instead of giving him her name, Chloé tells him she doesn't know. Jean-Michel laughs but can't resist commenting that the girl looks lost. With his words, Chloé reveals that she's indeed lost since she ran away from home. Instead of feeling bad for her, Jean-Michel commends her for taking a risk. Then, he shares that he is a record producer and that music is his passion. He adds that he likes people who have passion, as he believes it makes them special. Speaking of passion, Jean-Michel asks Chloé if she has one, and she confirms. She shares that she loves dancing, making the man express his desire to see her perform. However, Chloé reveals that she stopped pursuing it, but Jean-Michel persistently asks her to dance for him. In the end, his sweet words loosen her up, so she agrees to his request. With her response, Jean-Michel is honored, especially since she'll be the first girl to dance for him. After that, he invites her to come to his place since she has nowhere to stay. Upon reaching his apartment, Jean-Michel plays a tape containing a track he mixed. He asks Chloé's opinion, so she frankly comments that it sounds awful. This earns a laugh from him, but he doesn't feel hurt as that kind of music pays his bills. Chloé resumes scanning the apartment and opines that the music must pay him well. Due to her observation, Jean-Michel gladly shares that he also plays poker to gain extra money. However, he doesn't stick for long as he has other places to be. The following morning, Chloé wakes up alone in the apartment but is surprised to see a note, money, and spare keys from Jean-Michel. Then, she contacts her mother to inform her that she's in a better condition and she shouldn't look for her. Despite her mother's plea that she return home, Chloé remains firm in finding independence. Later that evening, Jean-Michel takes Chloé to his poker game as she wants to accompany him. During the game, Jean-Michel loses, but he has no money left to pay the winner. Because of this, the winner suggests he have his way with Chloé, but Jean-Michel refuses. Not backing down, the man suggests they play poker again. This time, he makes a deal. If Jean-Michel wins, he'll get his money back, but Chloé has to disrobe for them if he loses. Due to his proposition, Jean-Michel changes his mind and quickly talks to Chloé. He reminds her about her promise to dance for him, so he urges her to make it happen now. However, Chloé disapproves as she only wants to dance for him privately. Unsatisfied with her response, Jean-Michel pulls her aside and coaxes her into agreeing. Without waiting for Chloé's answer, Jean-Michel decides for her and returns to the poker table. Throughout the game, Jean-Michel continuously loses, making Chloé suffer deep humiliation. Not able to take it anymore, she abruptly leaves the building, causing Jean-Michel to chase after her. Once they reach his apartment, he makes love to Chloé, which is his way to regain her trust. The following day, Chloé visits Katja, and the woman is surprised to see her donning new clothes. Katja compliments her new outfit, leading Chloé to reveal that her boyfriend gave it to her. Then, she shyly admits that she made love with him and they're in love. After her revelation, Chloé tells Katja that she wants her to fall in love as well, but the woman rejects the idea as she no longer believes in love. With a response, Chloé calls her crazy and a pessimist. A few seconds later, Chloé reveals the events that happened last night, even the part where she was offered to be an escort. Concerned, Katja asks if her boyfriend has agreed, but she denies it. Regardless, Katja thinks he secretly agreed since he engages with strange people. During the night, Chloé stays with Katja as Jean-Michel won't be around. In curiosity, Chloé asks Katja if she's in a relationship, but she denies this as she's fine being single. Moments later, the two lie in bed but can't fall asleep, so Katja starts a serious conversation with her. She warns her about men like her boyfriend and advises her not to see him again. Upon hearing this, Chloé becomes defensive, telling her she doesn't even know him. Teasingly, Katja asks her if she can meet him so she can say her opinion of him, but Chloé's already irritated. Therefore, she calls the woman annoying as she believes Katja keeps meddling in her affairs. Insulted, Katja returns her remark to her, further angering Chloé. As a result, Chloé gets up from bed and angrily tells Katja she didn't leave her nagging mother just to get another one. Katja begins to feel bad and worries if Chloé will return to her boyfriend. Chloé confirms but remarks that she won't tell her where he lives as she doesn't trust her. However, instead of dropping the conversation, Chloé further insults Katja by accusing her of jealousy because she's single. Blinded by her emotions, Katja physically hurts Chloé, causing the girl to leave. Katja realizes her mistake, so she tries to stop her and apologizes for letting her emotions get the best of her. Regardless of her reason, Chloé decides to leave her place. The following morning, when the couple's about to leave, two thugs suddenly appear and confront Jean-Michel for the money he owes them. But since he doesn't have the amount yet, the thugs begin to beat him up. Chloé tries to pacify the physical altercation, but one of the thugs punches her in the stomach, subduing her. As for Jean-Michel's case, the other thug takes the few bucks in his pockets and warns him that they'll come after him if he doesn't meet the two-way deadline to pay his debt. Shortly after, Jean-Michel panics as he's afraid his life will be in danger if he fails to pay his debt. Chloé suggests they leave somewhere far away, but he refuses as he's sure they'll track him. Due to this, Chloé swears that she'll do anything for him, which gives Jean-Michel a wicked idea. He proposes that she sleep with one of his previous poker playmates in exchange for money. When she hears this, Chloé feels troubled as he'll be pimping her. However, Jean-Michel pressures her into accepting his offer as it'll be a one-time thing. Still, Chloé can't brush away her doubt since she thinks he won't love her anymore once someone touches her. With her words, Jean-Michel quickly hugs her and assures her he'll love her more since she did it for him. Because of her gullibility, Chloé eventually accepts his offer, unaware of the danger she's gotten herself into. During her first session, Chloé abruptly leaves the room after realizing she's not ready to be intimate with someone else. Jean-Michel stops her in her tracks and pressures her to continue her service with her first customer. When Chloé expresses she can't, he loses his temper and becomes rough on her. He drags her into a room and strikes her as a way to teach her a lesson. Once Chloé becomes docile, Jean-Michel brings the customer into the room to have his way with her. Back in his apartment, Jean-Michel gives Chloé her share of money from her service, but instead of accepting it, she throws it back at him, for she feels more like a commodity to him than his lover. When Jean-Michel tries to justify his actions, Chloé calls him a wimp as he quickly beats her up but can't stand up for himself against the thugs. Due to her words, he takes out his belt and gives it to Chloé, urging her to hurt him back. However, she doesn't comply. Instead, she makes him look in the mirror so that he realizes her life is completely ruined. Then, she tells him he's the only one who can save her by loving her. With her words, Jean-Michel hugs her and promises they'll move into a faraway place. But to make it happen, he needs more money. This stuns Chloé, but she has no choice but to accept her fate. For the next few days, Chloé swallows her pride and continuously entertains various men just to make money for Jean-Michel. One day after she finishes her service, Chloé meets another escort outside the motel. She introduces herself as Elsa, but Chloé doesn't give her real name. Instead, she introduces herself as Katja. From then on, the two form a connection. After a few days, Chloé and Elsa are conversing when a car suddenly stops beside Chloé. Upon seeing that the driver is Katja, Chloé dismisses her, but the woman is persistent in talking with her. She worries about how dangerous Chloé's line of work is, but the girl's pride hinders her from giving a sound reason. She tells Katja that she knows what she's doing as her decision is rooted in her love for Jean-Michel. Then, Chloé begins to insult Katja's life, telling her she's wasted it. Though her words cut through Katja, the woman reveals that she visited her to help her, not to waste her life further. Still, Chloé feels like her mother's nagging her, so she refuses and leaves. The following night, Chloé and Elsa are hanging out at a nearby bar when she spots Katja drinking alone. Because of this, Chloé excuses herself and approaches Katja's table. Once seated, Chloé apologizes for lashing out at her, but the woman assures her it's alright. Afterward, Katja reveals that she has something important to show her, but Chloé refuses as she's yet to reach her quota. Despite her reason, Katja offers she can live with her if she doesn't want to go home. She adds that she can work for her in the club, which convinces the girl. Chloé approaches Elsa and tells her not to tell Jean-Michel about her sudden departure. To ease her worries, Elsa volunteers to entertain her possible clients. Moments later, Katja stops by a brothel and shows Chloé the cruel and humiliating condition escorts have to endure. While doing so, Katja reveals that she used to be an escort and became hooked on making a lot of money. However, her life became a living hell when she met a pimp who put her inside a box behind a window, displayed like a piece of meat. In Chloé's defense, she's not doing dirty work for money. Instead, she does it for Jean-Michel so they can start a new life. Despite her reason, Katja chastises her for her naivety and warns her about the ugly future that awaits her, especially Jean-Michel's imprisonment. Insulted, Chloé threatens she'll end her life if something happens to her boyfriend, and she abruptly leaves. Back in the motel, Chloé sees Elsa confronting a client who has wronged her. When Elsa threatens to call the cops, the client quickly leaves, prompting her to reveal that Jean-Michel repeatedly fails to protect them against creepy clients. Due to her intense emotions, Elsa mistakenly reveals that she is also working for him to provide him with money. Upon realizing what she said, Elsa just admits that another woman also works for Jean-Michel, an escort named Charlotte, and she'll be returning tomorrow. The following morning, Jean-Michel visits Chloé's room when the girl confronts him after discovering he has 3 women working for him. As usual, Jean-Michel changes the narrative by saying that she's special and they need the money to build their new life. This time, Chloé's not convinced, so she calls him a bastard. Her words provoke Jean-Michel, causing him to manhandle her again. Tired of being exploited, Chloé orders him not to touch her, and she declares that she'll quit escorting. Because of this, Jean-Michel becomes furious at her, causing him to beat her up. The next day, Chloé stares blankly inside her room when Elsa visits her, reminding her not to sleep in the room as it's dedicated to pleasuring clients. However, Chloé expresses her frustration about the job and plans to stop. Then, she strongly admits that Elsa was right that Jean-Michel never loved her. Elsa tells her that they all fell for his tricks, leading Chloé to share that Jean-Michel has beaten her and it left marks. Rather than showing sympathy, Elsa says there are worse people than him and immediately reminds Chloé to entertain her last client later. Before she goes, she informs her that Jean-Michel won't be around tonight. This leads Chloé to conclude that he might be meeting Charlotte, but Elsa refuses to confirm it. As a result, Chloé desperately begs Elsa to tell her his whereabouts, but she remains firm. Tired of Chloé's naivety, Elsa reveals that Jean-Michel was never sincere. According to her, Jean-Michel orchestrated getting beat up by thugs to fool and pressure them into becoming one of his escorts. Upon learning this, Chloé feels deeply betrayed by the man she loves. Wanting to confront him, Chloé presses Elsa again to reveal Jean-Michel's whereabouts. Meanwhile, Katja comes across Jean-Michel inside a nightclub after paying her debt to Aldo, a well-known mobster. Katja allows the man to dance with her, unaware that he's Chloé's suspicious boyfriend. While in the dance floor, he reminds her of the money she owes him, but Katja reminds him that he'll get it during spring. Unbeknownst to them, Chloé sneaked inside the nightclub and catches them in the act. Feeling the betrayal, Chloé curses at the two and leaves. Katja tries to run after her, but the girl is nowhere to be found. After some time, Chloé boards a train when a man tries to make a move on her. He threatens to hurt her when she continuously rejects his advances, causing Chloé to leave the train abruptly. The next day, Chloé returns to the motel and asks Elsa if she can stay with her for a moment. When Elsa agrees, Chloé tiredly sits on the bed, making Elsa worry for her. She admits that she hasn't been able to get proper sleep, so Elsa encourages her to lie down while she gets something to eat. She assures Chloé that she'll feel better soon, and the girl nods in agreement. However, Chloé reveals that she's broke but doesn't want to be an escort anymore. Elsa doesn't respond to her statement. Instead, she tells Chloé to rest. A little while later, Chloé's sound asleep when Jean-Michel and Elsa enter the room. He wakes her up and tells her they need to leave. Due to the sleep-induced haze, Chloé unthinkingly follows his orders. Once outside, the two get inside Jean-Michel's car, unaware that Katja is behind them. As the car begins to move, Katja quickly tails them. In Jean-Michel's car, Chloé confronts him for lying to her and realizes he never loved her. Heartlessly, he reveals that he doesn't know how to love, but he tried loving her. But the fact that he sleeps around makes him admit that he can't love someone like that. Worried, Chloé moves on from the conversation and inquires him where they'll be going. Jean-Michel says he'll sell her to someone, hence she'll live and work in Holland. Soon after, the two arrive at an abandoned construction site to meet Jean-Michel's dealers. After spotting them, Chloé runs away from him and grabs a metal bar. He tries to calm her, but Chloé is fueled with rage, causing her to beat him with a bar. The dealers witness the physical altercation, so they immediately speed away, not wanting to be part of the fiasco. Though Chloé is able to land a few hits on him, Jean-Michel takes away the bar and throws it away. But before he can harm Chloé, Katja arrives and runs him over with her car. Once the man's subdued, Chloé and Katja approach him and watch him slowly get his life taken away. Suddenly, Chloé runs away, but Katja manages to track her. She tries to talk to her, but Chloé still thinks she betrayed her. Therefore, she explains that nothing's going on between her and Jean-Michel as he's just a crook she knows. Though Chloé acknowledges this, she still insists on wanting to end her life, for she feels ashamed of herself and has lost everything. Chloé believes she deserves to disappear, so she lies down on the train tracks and waits for death to claim her. Helpless, Katja tries to turn her back, but her concern for Chloé leads her to try to stop her. But when the train passes by, Katja approaches Chloé's location, only to discover that she's still alive. Immediately, Katja hugs and comforts the shaken girl.
Subscribe to watch more videos like this, turn on notifications and leave a like to help the channel out. Thank you for watching.